But you can sympathize with those moments where the human world is so callous and so grating, and you feel such disdain for your own species that you'd rather go. And he had this other world that he knew was always there, and so it's almost like there's an element of suicide to it, where he was like, it seems like he would rather have risked his life than to have gone back into the human world at that point. And that's an interesting thing, because there was always an element of suicide to his behavior. And that's interesting that if you consider this character as having come, or this person, he is so much like a character is the interesting thing, but he is a person, also an individual. And he came from this background of having addiction issues, which is something that often serves a desire for escapism. And, because you don't want to deal with your life, you don't want to deal with the world, so you escape it through various means. Alcoholism, drug addiction, this is very much a sense of escapism. And so is the bears. Literally an escape from society. And so I think it's interesting to see him as this character that doesn't want to kind of refused to take on that role anymore. And it was like, when you have that behavior, like alcoholism, drug abuse, it is suicidal. It is suicidal behavior, but no. Don't interrupt. This is very important. It is suicidal because so when you categorize suicidalness, whatever, one of the ways that you understand how suicidal someone is the lethality of their mode of self-harm. If someone wants to jump from a building, that is the most lethal form of suicide they can opt for. So that person really wants to go because they're choosing an option that leaves very little room for them to survive. So that's considered a highly lethal method of suicide that shows that this person's really on the edge. Now you have other methods that are very, very, very almost benign. Reckless driving is, in a way, very subtly suicidal behavior. The person risks their safety, risks their life through this behavior. In a way, every time we choose things that harm us and that put us in danger, of course, there's a thread of suicidal ideation in that. And of course, how could there not be? Life fucking sucks. It's really hard. People have a gajillion different issues that they're dealing with. There's always that sense of you're looking over the edge of the cliff, and we know, anybody can kill themselves at any time. Nothing keeps you here. You can leave. And yet we stay. We stay despite all of the difficulty, all of the strife, all of the hardship, all of the tragedy and the suffering. We mostly all choose to stay. But there are times when that will to stay is not as strong. And those are the times when maybe you choose something that is slightly more escapist than you should be doing. Maybe you drink a little too much and you can't do things the next day. Or maybe you smoke or you take drugs a little too much and you don't have to deal with life as much. This is a way it's like almost a kind of soft suicide where the lethality is extremely low, but there's still a chance that that the universe, whatever you have, what you have, will make the choice for you. Every time someone does something that has a chance that they'll die, and it's a choice, I don't know what drug he was doing, but I think it was something intense. It was not like he was just smoking weed or something like.
No, he did heroin.
But heroin, bro, heroin, you want to die.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but here's the thing. And I don't know if all that's real or true or science or facts, because I don't do psychology and you do that.
I won't speak to that.
All right, right. So I don't know if that's made up or
I mean,
if
the
that's a
lethality.
thing.
No, the lethality of suicide is a real metric when you're measuring
Okay.
someone's depression. That's true. I mean, the rest
Right.
is a kind of philosophical idea. I
Okay.
mean, this is that you go into the idea of that's a little bit the absurdist philosophy that we spoke about in the last podcast.
Well,
If you didn't check
that's
that out,
fine.
you should check that out. But this is
But-
the idea that why stay?
Okay, but if you take that, if you extrapolate out what you just said, that means that if I go downstairs and I make a choice to eat a potato chip, somewhere my potato chip eating activity on a scale about the lethality of my desire to commit suicide somehow slightly indicates that I want to die more than if I eat a carrot, which, to be fair, probably is.
I
maybe
actually
true.
stand by
So,
that
okay,
because
fine.
here's how you go. So
That's a pretty.
you can reject it. That's fine. That's your prerogative.
I don't reject it. I'm trying to think about it.
Well, here, let me help you think about it. So here's the thing. You got one potato chip. Fine. There's ways to do that. Of course, some days,
There's
if you
a
ate,
shade of suicide in one potato chip, though.
Listen, here's the thing.
And I don't want to live in thinking that I'm committing suicide when I eat a potato chip.
No, because
Why do
you
you have
know
to
the
make
difference.
me believe that?
You know the difference. That's the thing. We know the difference when, well, I'm going to have ice cream today because I've been really good. I went to the gym. I ate healthy. I'm going to give myself a treat. That's different from the time when you eat the ice cream and you're like, I know I shouldn't do this. I know it doesn't help me. I know it hurts me.
There you go. That's fine.
That's
that makes
literally
sense.
self-harm. When
Right,
we
right,
do
right.
behavior
But
that
it's actually in your mind whether or not. So like, are you able to just do a little heroin, but like as after you come back from the gym, be like, well, I did a lot of push-ups. Is that just a smidge? I mean, because then you're talking about it like being a.
well, heroin
being, like,
has the chance that you die, though.
Right, right. But I'm saying, and I'm joking about that, but like the intent is somehow involved in whether or not it's suicidal there, right? Because it's like
Does it
you're
harm
saying, well,
you?
you're saying the potato chip is okay if you went to the gym and it's a reward to you.
Yeah.
You know.
Does
Anyway,
it harm
I
you?
don't
Is
know.
essentially the question is, does the behavior?
The potato chip harms you regardless of how you think about the potato chip.
No. But here's
It has
the
the
thing.
same calories in it.
But no. Because here's the thing. Sometimes you do need to have a potato chip. Sometimes you do. Of course, alcohol always harms you. It's never good for you. But sometimes it's good for you emotionally. Well, what debatable?
Look,
Sometimes it's good for you to have a drink and go out with friends, and this is a healthy thing to do. A life of total restriction where all you eat is carrots is another kind of suicide, essentially. Where
Okay, so now it's suicide by carrot, and now it's suicide by potato chip, and now you can't even do heroin in peace. Like,
No,
what
you
is
can't.
it? Everything is just suicide, I guess. Okay,
well, I really think that
now
there
is
is
the
a
important
quality
time.
in all human life that we question. Why continue? Why continue?
Before this becomes too dark, I want to.
We're talking about a guy that got eaten by a fucking bear. This whole
He did.
podcast is going to be dark.